This is Art Television.
Coming up, State of Business, sponsored by
SLT Mobitel Home Broadband Online Learning Sir Working Data Demana SLT Mobitel.
IWS Aviation.
A very good evening. Welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Mariam Vijayaratna. Let's have a look at the headlines first. The country will not go for a total lockdown, but the travel restrictions will be imposed. Government stresses. Tourists from India will be facilitated under strict health guidelines, the cabinet decides. News in detail. Trade Minister Bandula Gunawardena says that the country will not go into a total lockdown despite surging COVID-19 deaths and daily cases. Trade Minister gave this assurance during a virtual media briefing held at the Government Information Department this morning.
අපිට ඔය එක්කෙනාට හිතෙන විදියට රට වහන්න බෑ. රටක් වැව්වහම වෙන්නේ අපි ඒ රටේ ආර්ථික ක්‍රියාකාරීත්වයේ මේ රටේ වැඩ කරන ජනයා උදේ ඉඳන් රැ වෙනකම් වැඩ කරනවා. අපි මේ රටේ තියෙනවා තේදලු නෙලනවා තේ කර්මාන්තයක් තියෙනවා. රබර් කිරි කපනවා රබර් කර්මාන්තයක් තියෙනවා. පොල් නිෂ්පාදන කර්මාන්තයක් තියෙනවා. තේ රබර් පොල් කියන්නේ ප්‍රධාන සම්ප්‍රදායික අපනයන භෝග තුන. ගම්බිරිස් කරදමුංගු කරාබුණටි එන්සාල් වගේ සුළු කෘෂි අපනයන භෝග තියෙනවා. රෙදිපිලි ඇඟලුම් නිෂ්පාදනය කරනවා. ඊළඟට අනිත් කර්මාන්ත සුළු මධ්‍ය පරිමාණ මහා පරිමාණ කර්මාන්තවල වැඩ කරනවා. මේ ටික අපි ජාත්‍යන්තර වෙළඳපොළට අපනයනය කරනවා. රට වැව්වහම අපනයන සම්පූර්ණයෙන් නතර වෙනවා. අපනයන නතර වුණොත් දැනට විදේශ විනිමය නැතුව ඉන්න රටේ රට සල්ලි නැති වෙනවා. රට සල්ලි නැති වුණාම තෙල් ගේන්න බැරි වෙනවා. තෙල් ගේන්න බැරි වුණොත් ලෙඩෙක් රෝහලට අරගෙන යන්නත් බැරි වෙනවා. වාහන දුවන්නේ නැහැ. තෙල් ගේන්න මාසකට අවශ්‍යයි ඇමරිකන් ඩොලර් මිලියන 300කට වඩා වැඩි ප්‍රමාණයක්. එතකොට අපනයන එක දවසක් නතර වුණොත් මේ ඇතිවෙන පාඩුව මහා විදේශ විනිමය කන්දරාව කොහෙන්ද හොයන්නේ?
Trade Minister Bandula Gunawardena suggested that the only alternative the country has is following health guidelines against the coronavirus. He also added Sri Lanka is not economically strong enough to close the country and face the consequences and will have to keep the economy run as usual.
ඊළඟට විදේශ විනිමය නැති වුණොත් රට වහලා සුමානයක් විදේශ විනිමය ආවේ නැත්නම් එකම බැංකුවකවත් ඩොලර් නැතුව ණයවර ලිපි අරින්න බෑ. ණයවර ලිපි අරින්න බැරි වුණොත් මේ අත්‍යවශ්‍ය භාණ්ඩ වලින් අපි හදාගන්නේ නැති තිරිඟුවට ප්‍රමාණවත් නොවන සීනි ආනයනය කරන්නේ කොහොමද? ඉතින් ජනතාව ජීවත් කරවන්න රට ඇරලා තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඇරලා අපි මේ වසංගතයෙන් බේරීම සඳහා අවශ්‍ය සෞඛ්‍ය උපදෙස් අකුරට පිළිපදින්න ඕනේ. ඒ මිසක් ලෝකේ වෙන විකල්පයක් නැහැ. මහා ධන සම්පත් තියෙන රටකට ඕස්ට්‍රේලියාවට ඇමරිකාවට පුළුවන් මාස 6ක් කර ගිහේ රට වහන්න. මොකද ඒ අය සතුව තියෙනවා ජාත්‍යන්තර සංචිතයක් විශාල ලෙස ඕනි වෙච්ච වෙලාවක පාවිච්චි කරන්න විදේශ විනිමය.
The Sri Lanka Army mobilized its Western Province-based mobile vaccination fleet yesterday. The program prioritizing the COVID-19 vaccination for the elderly, sick, handicapped and feeble sections in society kicked off at the Army headquarters. The mobile inoculation program is carried out as per directions given by Army Commander General Shavendra Silva, the head of the National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19 outbreak. To begin with, 10 special vehicles with medical teams of the Sri Lankan Army Medical Corps and the Directorate of Preventive Medicine and Mental Health inside each vehicle are administering the vaccines visiting doorsteps. The deployment of this fleet of 10 mobile vaccination vehicles plus an ambulance on standby would administer the vaccine against COVID-19, visiting doorsteps of applicants only after those who need this mobile service register themselves with the National Operations Centre for Prevention of COVID-19 outbreak through the hotline number 1906. Those vehicles with nurses, medical assistants, data entry operator and the driver will accordingly be stationed in most populous Dematagoda area, Colombo 15, Modar area, Gangarama Mawata and Mattakulya area, Colombo 14 Grand Pass area, Colombo 15 Blue Mendel Road area and be subsequently deployed where necessary in consultation with the National COVID-19 Prevention Centre based on information. The standby ambulance with a medical officer will monitor the process closely throughout its operations. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
News, views, highlights, updates and opinions. This is Wake Up with us.
Georgia, oh yeah. I get my weed from California. That's that. I took my watermelon sugar high. Watermelon sugar high. Watermelon sugar high. You can fly away with me tonight. You can fly away with me tonight. Baby, let me take you for a ride. Yeah, yeah.
Let's get down to bed.
Make you do that cold. Control yourself and in love. Make the mood of music getting stronger.
Looking for some hot stuff, baby, this evening. I need some hot stuff, baby, tonight.
So good, yeah, look so sweet. Looking good enough to eat.
Let's go. It's so hot in the stars tonight. So sweet, bring the vibes. Night light on. I only love you in the middle of the night. That's when you're on my mind. Every time I get the feeling that you fight. And I know it just ain't right. Acuérdate de perderte otra vez.
Welcome back after the break. The government has decided to facilitate tourists from India after 3 months subject to strict health guidelines and prior approvals. This was mentioned in a quarantine guideline amendment issued yesterday. In May, Indian tourists were restricted due to the surge in COVID-19 cases with the highly infectious Delta variant. However, India is the biggest tourist source market for Sri Lanka. According to the latest Health Ministry quarantine guidelines effective from 12th August, fully vaccinated foreign nationals arriving from India, including transits, are required to obtain prior approval from the Foreign Affairs Ministry and the Civil Aviation Authority. Indian tourists will also be subject to a mandatory PCR test. National carrier Sri Lankan Airlines said it would immediately include passenger flights to 3 operating cities, whilst plans are underway to add 2 more destinations in the near future. In the first 7 months of this year, there have been 1,127 Indian tourists visiting Sri Lanka, though down by 99% from the corresponding period of last year. However, India still remains the 6th source market with 8% of the total arrivals. In 2020, Sri Lanka entertained 89,357 Indian tourists, and in 2019 the figure was 355,002, whilst the highest was the tourism industry's best year in 2018, which amounted to 424,887. Head of Research at First Capital Holdings, Dimantha Matthew, says that the Colombo stock market showed a roller coaster ride during the week with some negative as well as positive signs.
This week we are seeing a bit of a roller coaster ride in the market. So you can see that basically the number of ups and downs during the week. So at the start of the week, we thought the market seems to be stabilizing after we seeing some declines over during last week. However, the volatility is getting higher and higher at the moment. Still, the index is hovering around the 8,000 range. more of a decline is what we are seeing now. Especially on Thursday, we saw a significantly high decline of around over 100 points. So in addition to that, Friday we saw a bit of a recovery there, but closing marginally below the 8,000 mark. So though the volatility is there, we are seeing a sort of a gradual downward trend in the volatility itself, and turnover levels wise we are seeing on average 4 billion range of turnover, but however on Wednesday and Friday we saw much lower level of turnover.
The head of research at First Capital Holdings, Dimantha Matthew, also predicts that the selling pressure will go up during the coming week as well. However, he added brokers are afraid to predict on the coming week but expect more speculative tradings.
There could be more selling pressure also coming in selected counters as investors shift their portfolios. So in addition to that, we are also seeing that the retail participation is likely to continue at the moderate levels, but since the volatility is there, turnover levels are also likely to slightly dip, but is likely to remain around the 2 billion mark at moderate levels. Index is difficult to say, but is likely to be volatile in terms of shares. We feel that manufacturing and dollar income companies will continue to grab the attention of the investors and a bit of banking sector shares. But most importantly, we feel that the upcoming week there will be more speculative trading that is likely to take place. So watch out for that and be cautious on those shares.
We'll be right back with the stock updates.
උදතිබ සබරි දිකු දලති හස්තිරාජවරු පෙරටු අලියතුන් පෙරිවරා නෙක විකුම්පාන සහසක් නැටුම් කරුවන්ගේ රංග ස්වභාවයෙන් මගදිපස විසිතුරු කර සියක් පන්දම් කරුවන්ගේ එලි චමත්කාරයේ එලි රටායට විභූතිමත් කන්ද උඩරට සෙන්කඩ කල මේ සිරිතලතා පෙරහර සමයයි.
News, views, highlights, updates and opinions. This is Wake Up with I.
Welcome back after the break. Trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today. The all-share price index gained by 15.13 points to close at 7,996.04, and the S&P SL 20 gained by 4.06 points to close at 2,993.08. The turnover was 2.3 billion rupees and over 162 million shares were traded. Up next are forex rates. That's all we have for tonight. Have a great weekend. Good night.
State of Business was sponsored